Let's face it, the Troy Trojans got royally screwed. It's Lockdown Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, back with another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, doing it earlier than normal. Got no sleep last night. Had a tum-tum ache. Haven't had one of those in a long time. So going to try and get into bed early tonight. We'll go over the regionals, Hattiesburg and Conway. Kendall Rogers said something about one of the teams in the regionals, and I'm not sure what he's talking about. But let's get to Troy, and I hate to say I told you so. And I would use the scene from Brockmire. You know, you think I'd like to say I told you so, but I love to say I told you so. And we'll be doing so from time to time when you least expect it. Group of 5 teams in the top 50 don't make it. They just don't. You need to be in the top 40. All right. And we can go back to when Southern Miss was on the bubble when they were 44. And then they reeled off 18 straight wins, which everybody saw coming. And this is what happens. Unfortunately. All right. Although, as ridiculous as it sounds, if they beat Southern, I like to believe if they beat Southern Miss one time, beat Old Dominion, and end up playing Southern Miss twice, which is a total of one more victory, they would have made it. And again, if you have the slide in January, if you have the slide in March compared to April and May, or mostly May, it should make a difference. But Troy got screwed. All right, let's face it. They got screwed. They should have made it. All right, we can go down some of these RPI numbers because they did. All right, so just forget about the whole 47 thing here. They're 39 and 21. All right, USC got in. They're 45th. They're 35 and 21. They have a non-conference strength of schedule of 97. Troy's is 43. Record is about the same, 16 and 8 to 19 and 7, non-conference record. All right. Oklahoma State got in. They're a grand total of 28 and 23. How the heck does that happen? Their non-conference strength of schedule is pretty good, 35. But their non-conference RPI is 88. Troy is 14. And they're 12 and 10 non-conference record. Troy is 19 and 7. I mean, how does anybody with a straight face explain how Oklahoma State gets in when they're 28 and 23 compared to Troy, who's 39 and 21? I'm just telling you that you're going to, the group of 5 team is always going to lose out to the Power 4 or whatever it is, Power 5 team. Always going to happen. Always. And that's what happened here numerous times. All right. Now, Creighton is right behind. Creighton is right behind Troy, but they got the automatic berth. So that doesn't matter. All right, they won the Big East. They're 46th, and they're 41 and 14. Their RPI numbers are nowhere near in terms of strength of schedule and anything nowhere near Troy, but they won, so they get the automatic berth. Let's see if some of these other teams got in. Did Rio Grande Valley win the Southland Conference? I don't know if they did. They won. No, they did not, and they didn't get in. All right. They lost to Houston Christian. They did not get in. They're not going to a regional. They were pretty good all year. Western Kentucky, they're 42. Did they get in? They're going to Georgia Tech. They beat Jacksonville State, so they got the automatic berth from the Conference USA. Connecticut, did they get in? They lost to Creighton. They did not get in. So some of these teams right there didn't get in. Connecticut at one point in time actually had a longer winning streak than Northeastern at the time, a few weeks ago. I thought my guys from Northeastern was going to help out Troy, but they did not. I mean, Troy, and why are we blaming Skylar Meade? Someone needs to explain to me what's going on with Skylar Meade. Some people don't like him. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know. I follow Josh Butwell and try to follow it as much as possible. I know they wear their pants high. Is that it? Do they not act properly? I saw Skylar talk about the way Southern Miss acts, and he had nothing but good things to say about him. Like, they keep on beating us, but they beat us the right way. He's like, there's a bunch of teams out there, although I don't think he necessarily talking about the Sun Belt, but there's teams out there, you watch them, there's a whole act about them. Southern Miss just plays baseball, always beats us, but, they kind of do it respectfully. Is there something going on with Troy outside of the crazy way they wear their pants up above their knees? Is that a thing? Do we really care about that? I mean, what I think looks ridiculous, you may not think looks ridiculous, or why do we care? So what's up with? They won every single regular season series until the last weekend of the year, and that's a seeded team in the NCAA tournament. So I'm not sure what's going on there. You can't have one bad week, one bad weekend. They went 2-2. They still played in the Sun Belt semifinals, right? It doesn't matter how maybe it does. I'd like to think it doesn't, but maybe it does matter because you wouldn't have lost ODU and your RPI wouldn't have fallen that much, I guess. Your RPI wouldn't have gone up that high, but it wouldn't have fallen that much. But they're in the top 50 instead of the top 40. In top 40, they would have made it. Let's see if we can find that. Like guess who's 40? Miami. There you go. They made it. So, feel really bad for Troy. They certainly deserve to be in. At the time when I saw 47, I didn't think they were getting in. But those guys at D1 Baseball know what they're talking about. I tuned it in a little bit late. My break started late. Doesn't matter why. But when I didn't realize they had announced the national seeds, and I got in there for the Tallahassee announcement and saw my guy Glavin in Northeastern going down to Tallahassee. Then I realized they announced all the national seeds and all the seeds and saw that Hattiesburg was 16 and Coastal Carolina was 13. And that's when I tweeted out what I did. And I said, what does that mean for Troy? I didn't think it meant very good things for Troy. We don't think, you want a conspiracy theory, we don't think they put Coastal Carolina 13 so they could justify keeping Troy out, do we? Because you can easily make a case if you have Coastal Carolina 8th and, now you have Troy beating them, that's an easy case for putting them in. But we didn't make them a national seed. We put them 13th. I don't know. All right, so let's go over the regionals. It's going to be, it's going to be a long off season for Troy. Last year was a long off season. This is going to be just as long, if not longer, to have the regular season that they had, play in the Sun Belt semifinals, and not make the NCAA tournament. That is going to be a lesson. Unfortunately, it is a good lesson to learn now that sometimes you can do almost everything right, and sometimes it doesn't work out. That is a lesson that is a tough pill to swallow. But that, as they say, is life. All right, we'll go over the teams in the regionals. We're going to go over a little big picture, and we're going to try and get some crossovers later on in the week with the other lockdown hosts to get a little bit more specific. Let's do Conway first because they're 13th. We'll do that right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day. Okay, we do have, let's see, we got Alex Dono, Locked On Hurricanes, Locked On Canes coming on later on. And we got Brandon Olson, Locked On Gators. We're trying to get Luke Robinson Locked On Tide. Always the big time Locked On Roll Tide. We'll see. And if the coaches do get back to me, which again is probably not likely, we'll have bonus episodes. What am I going to say? No. So we'll have bonus episodes with the coaches should they come on. All right, so let's do the Conway Regional first. Coastal Carolina, your 13th seed. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so they get Fairfield. All right, believe they are the Stags. All right, out of the MAAC, instead of the Mid-Atlantic Conference, the MAAC. You get East Carolina, and you get Florida. Florida's had an interesting season. I'm looking forward to talking to Brandon Olson about that. Like, Florida stunk for the first half of the season. Like, really stunk. Like, they may have started out 1-10 in the SEC. They did. Well, let's see. We'll look at it here. All right. Well, here we go. All right. So let's look at it. What they finish up at. All right. So they finished up conference play at 15-15. Let me see if they did start out conference play 1-10. So that would be really impressive if they were 15-15, because I didn't think they were making it. I'm sure there's an episode where I said they were not making it. So let's see here. So yeah, they started with Tennessee. They lost all 3 games to Tennessee. That's 0-3. They lost all 3 games to Georgia. That's 0-6. They lost 2 out of 3 to Ole Miss. So what is that? That is 1-8. And they lost all 3 games to Vanderbilt. So that's actually 1-11. Ouch. So Florida started out 1-11 in the SEC and managed to finish out 15-15. So they won 14 of their last 18 ball games. Did I do that right? That's impressive. I mean, whatever we want to say about the overall record and whatever the case is, whew, that's impressive. All right. Put themselves in a hole. That is not going to be an easy win for Coastal Carolina. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't want to hear it. All right. Both Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina have really hard regionals. don't want to hear it. All right. You got the regionals. You got them at home. You need to win. All right. I definitely do not want to hear it. All right. Gators are good. All right. I'm not going to say otherwise. They got like the number 3 RPI overall or number 3 strength of schedule overall, something along those lines. Number 3 strength of schedule overall. Auburn's 1, Vanderbilt's 2, Georgia 3. Of course, they all play each other. But it's not going to be easy. All right. And it'll be interesting to see what Kevin Schnall does with Jacob Morrison. All right. Because this is usually where coaches play games a little bit. They're going to hold back their ace for the second game. All right. It'll be interesting. I have not heard what he said. I'm going to guess he hasn't given an answer yet. We'll find out maybe later in the week, or maybe he has. I don't know. All right. So then you get East Carolina in there as well. All right. East Carolina, kind of a middling team. I guess they won their conference tournament to get in, right? With an RPI of 66. I mean, they had to reel off some wins to get in. Yeah. I mean, they lost 2 out of 3. I mean, they were coming in. They did not play very well coming in. And, I mean, they beat South Florida. They had just lost 2 out of 3 to South Florida. Beat South Florida, beat Charlotte, beat South Florida again, and beat Tulane in the championship game. Wow. This was going to be Tulane's tournament, and Tulane got beat. I mean, East Carolina had lost 2 out of 3 to Wichita State. They lost 2 out of 3 to UTSA, and they lost 2 out of 3 to South Florida. The last time they won a series would have been UAB in the middle of April, a month and a half ago. April 17th, 18th, and 19th is the last time they won a series. And that's one series because they lost the series before to Charlotte. They got swept against FAU. They did sweep Rice. All right. Rice not very good. And they did sweep Memphis. All right. But it has been a minute. So they come in hot after a good weekend, but that's what it took for East Carolina to get in. They weren't getting in otherwise. All right. And then you have Fairfield, which I'm sure they also are winners of their conference tournament. It can't be the Mid-Atlantic. What do we call it? It is the MAAC. Fairfield was number 2 in the regular season, so they had a good year. Their RPI 74. They had the best RPI in the conference. They weren't the regular season champs, but they had the best RPI in the conference. They've had a nice season, 39-17. It's a good record, right? But because of the conference that they're in, they're never going to have a great RPI. Again, it's always going to be a one-bid league. They did win the 3 ball games to win the conference tournament. They did lose 2 to Rider. They canceled 1 ball game. They did win 2 out of 3 against Niagara the weekend before, but they had lost 2 out of 3 to Marist before that. They had taken 2 out of 3 against Quinnipiac before that. And they were playing pretty well. They had gone on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game winning streak and won 7 out of 8. A little bit before that. So they're a good, they're not a bad baseball team, but this is where, does Kevin Schnall decide to hold JB Morrison back for either Florida or East Carolina? I wouldn't be surprised because that's who you want. You want your best going against the best. We'll see what he says. I'm sure he faced the media today. We'll try and catch up with what he said. See if it comes out tomorrow. He would be on full rest if that's the case. No. Whereas JB Middleton is going to get extra rest. And we'll see. Well, if that's the thing, JB Middleton, here's the thing about that. So Christian Ostrander doesn't mess around, but we're going to get into that because I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. All right. So it's a pretty good thing. East Carolina and Fairfield both won their conference tournament. Nice regional there. Obviously, the Florida Gators are playing relatively good baseball. Started out really poorly and played incredibly well in the second half to get into the NCAA tournament. All right, let's do the Hattiesburg Regional when we come back right after this. Or at least after I thank you. All right, we're getting closer to those 2,000 subscribers. Would be nice to everybody who followed me, including one Mrs. Amy Ostrander on Twitter feed. All right. If the coach wants to come on the podcast, you know where to find me. You guys are great. I appreciate the back and forth. Again, people hear what they want to hear. Of course, I want Southern Miss in the tournament. All right. But when they were in the mid 40s, that's the bubble. All right. I did not see them winning 18 in a row. I did suggest if they did lose a ball game to App State or to the Cajuns or to Arkansas State, they would fall in a big way. And they didn't. So that prevented that to be the case. And so we're looking forward to this. And again, it's not going to be easy. Neither one of these regionals are cakewalks, but I don't want to hear it. All right. Florida is formidable. All right. Won the championship a couple years ago. And Hattiesburg's got Miami and Alabama, although those teams always seem to come up small in big spots baseball-wise. But we're going to talk about that here in a minute. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. The channel's just growing by leaps and bounds. Again, it's going to be the second or third biggest month we've ever had, and whoever would think that would be in a baseball month. But thank you so much. Keep on subscribing, keep on liking, and sharing when you see those videos. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, let's do the Hattiesburg Regional. All right, what are they calling it? Baseburg? I like that. That's not bad. All right. So we get Southern Miss going to take on the Columbia Lions out of the Ivy League, and then you get the Hurricanes and Alabama, which would make for a good football game back in the day. Although, were these two teams ever good at the same time? Well, Alabama beat Miami, right? That's the Gene Stallings year. But that's kind of like a one-off for Alabama. Miami was really good when Alabama wasn't, for the most part, right? I got to go back to when Saban, I got to go back. Anyways, it certainly brings some spice to Hattiesburg. Okay. I do want to talk about the Columbia Lions because Kendall Rogers goes, I think he mentioned it, and I'm sure he said that Columbia, let me see, I don't know if I can find the tweet, because he did say that Columbia is not your normal not your normal 4 seed. And I wasn't sure about that. Let me see if he said it here. Because I mean, he's got a million tweets I got to go through because they had all the coverage. They're going through it. Let me see here. Because I'm not sure Columbia is that great. First of all, they don't play that many games. All right. Did he do a little thing here with the? Oh no, I missed it. All right, maybe it was a reaction. Okay. Well, here it is. All right. Southern Miss gets a 16 seed. USM gets hot, but that is not an easy road to Omaha at all. They got to go through Vanderbilt, which is the number 1 seed overall. All right. If they get matched up in the supers. All right. Columbia is a very dangerous number 4 seed. Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that? Columbia. All right. I checked. Now, I don't, not necessarily counting my chickens before they hatched, but I checked. Columbia is 29-17 overall. All right. Their best win is over a 56 RPI team in Kennesaw State. And that was game 1 of the season. Game 1 of the season. All right. They have some, they did play Oregon in a 4-game set, and they did play Georgia in a 3-game set. They did not beat them. They lost 20-11. They lost 35-1. Their closest game was a 9-7 loss to Georgia. All right. I am by no means am I mocking Columbia. I want to make sure we understand that. I am just pointing out the fact that they don't play high RPI teams. All their RPIs are low. Like they're playing Brown that has an RPI of 283. They're losing to Princeton with an RPI of 270. They're losing to Yale with RPIs of 139. They're beating Dartmouth with RPIs of 262. All right. They've won 4 in a row. And they beat Penn 170, 229, 229, 229. They won the Ivy League tournament. They beat Holy. I don't know what the whole Ivy League thing is, or the Holy Cross thing is. But they beat Penn 170, Harvard's 229, Holy Cross is 136. In other words, they haven't played anybody this year. Or I will rephrase that. They haven't beaten anybody. They've played Georgia. They played Oregon back in February. Right? February, the 28th, and March. They haven't played anybody in Fairfield. They did beat Fairfield, 74. I missed that. Oops. Fairfield is their, ironically, Fairfield is their best win of the year. They beat Fairfield. I don't know how I missed that. They beat Fairfield 18-7 on a Tuesday. That's their best win of the year. All right. They haven't played anybody. It's going to be interesting to see if he starts JB Middleton against Columbia. I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't. I have to start JB Middleton against Alabama or Miami. If my idea is to win this thing, I got to have my best. If I believe that Southern Miss is the best, I got to have my best against Alabama and the Hurricanes. And here's the thing. They have to pitch their best against each other. Alabama and Miami are going to play each other. So their aces are going to go first up. I'm going to have the advantage. If I win, I got to win. All right. And if you lose to Columbia, that's on you. All right. So that's what I would do. I would go with my number 2 guy. I'd hold JB Middleton back to pitch the number 2 game against Alabama and Miami, or Miami as the case may be. And then see where I am after that. Then they can battle it out, and hopefully you only have to play one more ball game. You know? Yeah, that's what I would do. All right. And the same thing goes for Coastal Carolina. I'm going to hold back Jacob Morrison. I can't throw him against Fairfield. I think Fairfield's better, although they lost to him. I think Fairfield's better than Columbia. I'm going to hold Jacob Morrison back as well. I understand the whole idea. You're messing around at this point in time of the year. You got to win these first games. If my second guy isn't good enough to beat these automatic qualifiers, and I'm not good enough to win. I'm not good enough to beat the other teams, period. Right? So that's what I think. I think that the Sun Belt teams are going to hold back their aces to pitch in the second games because that's where they're needed. Right? And hopefully that would put them in a position to where, presuming they win, but I'm also going to presume Alabama and Florida and the Hurricanes each have a really good number 2 pitcher. They usually do, right? They got a Saturday night pitcher too. So, all right. Again, we are planning on doing crossovers with Alex Dono from the Miami Hurricanes, Locked On Canes. We got Brandon Olson doing Locked On Gators. We're going to try and do Locked On Bama. We'll try to do that as well. And then next week, we're going to do a little football on how the P5 teams or P4 teams are poaching all the G5 players, right? We got Gio Lopez going to North Carolina, Fluff Bothwell went to Mississippi State, and Ahmad Hardy to Missouri, among others. All right. And so we're going to do a little bit of that. Brian Smith is going to hop on and talk about all that recruiting stuff. And so we'll do a little football. Still are not out of trying to get the coaches that wrapped up spring football. So we'll try to do that as well. I am heading out. I am off on Thursday and off on Tuesday, but we're heading out. Mama Schultz is having a small little birthday party. We're going to be out in Charleston. Believe you me, I will not miss the regionals. All right. We will have internet in Charleston, South Carolina. All right. Anyways, thank you so much. We're going to hit the bed early tonight. It was a long night last night. Appreciate you guys watching. All right. Should be a fantastic week to preview the ball games coming up. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.